Today, we're going to talk about defining who you are or redefining who you are as an artist, as a lyricist, as a composer, as a sound recording owner, whatever role you play. I want to talk a little bit about defining that role or redefining it. And I say redefining it because I'll give you an example. I find myself, or I call myself, a lyricist, a composer, an artist, a sound recording owner, a publisher, things like that. And I have to understand each of those roles, why I play each of those roles, what each of those roles means, because we play those roles, if especially if we are a self-releasing recording artist, right? We write our own music, we compose it, or have somebody compose it, we sing it, we release it. But when we're doing all those things, we not only want to honor each one and honor the craft appropriately and honor what we're supposed to be doing, but especially ensuring that our business is in order. So again, just a reminder of who I'm talking to today. This is for you uh, playing any of those roles, especially if you are a self-releasing recording artist with a day job, because that's who this is. That's who this is geared for. But I believe this can help anybody in terms of redefining or defining their role. So let's start with just a couple here. Lyricist, just one who writes lyrics. Sometimes, often starting as a poet or one who just writes words. Not just, but one who writes and is very eloquent and can write words and story very well, even if one doesn't compose music. Okay, so that would be a lyricist. If you write lyrics, you are a lyricist. Composer, someone who composes the music. And I have my notes off to the side just in case you see me looking. Or a melody. Even if you're humming, you're composing. Even if you're humming, you're composing. Consider that. So if you're humming a tune, humming a melody, or can put some chords together, you're composing. Lyricist, writing lyrics. So you put those two together, you can have a whole song. Now, when it gets to getting into your computer or studio, what have you, and getting that end result, getting that end sound recording, you are producing that. So lyricist, composer, songwriter. I mean, that's kind of one and the same, right? If you're a lyricist and you're humming a melody, or you get with the composer, if you're writing a song, you are a songwriter. A lot of those are interchangeable. If you're a composer, you're composing a song, you're a songwriter. So you'll see that a lot. Those roles interchangeable. And even when you're doing song registrations, you'll see it. Are you the author? Are you the composer? Things like that. But just kind of break down overall, if you write a song, you are a songwriter. All right. A producer, in short, now historically, a producer is the one who gets the product made, one who produces the product, right? The sound one who produces the sound recording. If you think historically, a producer would be brought in once the song is already done. A producer's job historically would be to ensure the sound recording happens, one who could hire the musicians, who could arrange appropriately and things like that, or they would hire an arranger. That's even another role, right? But if you're doing that all yourself, if you're writing the lyrics, composing the music, and producing the sound recording, producing the end product, you are a producer too. Fascinating stuff, right? We don't think about these things when we just get on our computers and just create a song. We just think, oh, we're just a creator. Now, I will say a creator in terms of an all encompassing, there's different types of creators, of course, as you know, but sometimes we whittle all that down and say, well, I create because I do so many of these different things. I create. Will consider any one of these roles, lyricist, composer, producer, is one who is creating something, right? So I just want to break them down because each of these roles, when it gets to the business side of it, is important, relating to, okay, well, if I produce this product and I know what my roles are, what does that mean income wise, right? Remember, this is geared towards one with day jobs. So maybe it's not a full on, hey, here's how I'm making my entire living or my sole living, but I do want to understand if I'm producing something and I'm getting in the marketplace, what can that generate for me? I'm doing what I love. What can that generate for me? I'll know where to look and where I need to register and all these different things, or what I need to have somebody else do on my behalf if I understand all the roles that I'm playing. So that's why it's important to break this down. We just finished that producer, recording artist. If you are the one who is if you are the one who's singing the song, if you have the art of getting your voice on a recording in a certain way, because if anybody can sing Mary Had a Little Lamb, right? But if you want to put that on a recording, you want to make sure, okay, well, how should this sound? Are we doing it folk style? Are we doing it country? Doing it gospel? How are we doing this here? And then you want to find that particular voice. A recording artist is anyone who can sing, who, again, there's an art form to it. Just like I think Not all musicians or not all artists are great live performers or can perform great live or maybe don't want to. There's some who are very, very comfortable in the studio. Love being in the studio at a microphone or recording. There's an art to it. So recording artists. The sound recording owner, again, you, if you're doing all this, that's you too. Don't just think I'm going on my computer, I'm just going to create a song and that's it. I'm the artist. No, you are the one who created that sound recording. And if it's solely you, you own that sound recording. There is financial benefit to that if you know how to, if you're doing things, if you're releasing the music and if you're getting it registered appropriately. Um, there's money that's due to you as the sound recording owner. So that's yet another role. And then lastly, and there's others, there's a range, but the last one I'm going to talk about here is music publisher. And traditionally, a publisher's job is just to get a song exploited, get a song used, right? If you have let's say a lyricist and a composer, one and the same, somebody who writes words and music, and they have a song, well, they can't sing or don't desire to sing, so there's no way for that song to get recorded. But if they also sing, they're also the recording artist, so they can do that as well. If they're not, a publisher's job, a music publisher's job, is to get it exploited, to get that song in its composition state before it's ever recorded, perhaps to a recording artist who's looking for songs, a recording artist who is on a recording label potentially, right? And their job is to get it out into the marketplace. Historically, that's the way it's been, but now you can see this is why you could be playing all these roles. If you're a self-releasing recording artist, you're playing all these roles if you're doing all these things. All right. So why define yourself again? This will help you understand what ultimately what royalties and what income you can generate. I'll give you an example. Did you know that if a song is played on FM radio in the United States, if a song is played on FM radio, the songwriter, either lyricist or composer, one and the same songwriter, and the music publisher, the one who owns the song, and we'll get into that later, they're the ones who get paid. The recording artists and the recording label, the sound recording owner, they don't get paid. At least that's how it stands right now, as of when I'm recording this in 2025. They don't get paid. A lot of people get that. A lot of people think that, and I've talked with many people who think that, oh yeah, well, artists get paid from the radio. Nope. If the artist is also the songwriter, then as that songwriter role, they get paid from radio play. So it leads you down a rabbit hole of, wait a minute, I thought I was paid for this. It was like, well, yeah, because you are playing that role in this, right? So that's why it's important to do that. So because if you're self-contained, as I'm talking today, if you do it all, you play all these roles, and there's different organizations. I'm not going to get into all of them, but there's different organizations that pay relating to what role you're playing. So it's very important to do those deep dives. There's tons of YouTube videos. This won't cover all of them, but define who you are and redefine who you are. I'll get into redefining who you are right now, because when I started out, Jared Jones, that's my artist name, R&B and pop. That's what I was doing, R&B and pop music. I quickly saw that there were other Jared Joneses that were releasing music, and I said, okay, well, how do I ensure that my stuff is separated? How that when you search Jared Jones or whatever you search for my artist name, that my stuff comes up and there's not a whole bunch of others. So I put my middle initials in there, Jared KF Jones. That is now my artist name. But now Jared KF Jones, I primarily do Christian and Christian gospel music as Jared KF Jones. So I also write for R&B and pop for film and television, relating to getting music into film and television. So is that appropriate to put under Jared KF Jones, defining the role? It's like, well, this is not Jared KF Jones is now the Christian gospel music creator. So anything that I'm making under that name or releasing under that name has a particular brand, right? And so just like Pepsi, Coke, or McDonald's, you have a certain way. If McDonald's started doing pizza, I'm not sure they would ever do that. But if they did, that would kind of be off brand, right? They maybe they'll create another business or company that does that, or Pepsi creating their drinks and different beverages. I'm not going to name them all because I know I'm going to get them wrong, but it's different. Like it's an offshoot. So I said, well, how do I, if I'm not just going to stop and not, create for music and TV, because I enjoy doing that as well. So how do I do that? I redefined my role as an artist. And this is important because I now release and make music also as Daraj the Creator. Who's Daraj the Creator? If you're a Family Matters fan like I am, if you remember when Steve Urkel created his alter ego Stefan, I kind of think of it as one and the same, right? I'm Jared, I'm me, but under this moniker, under this different, not personality, but this different brand, I create R&B and pop music. That's Daraj the Creator. And it's funny because if you see the pictures, and I'll put it up a post at some point, see the pictures, it's pretty much I'm me with glasses. You're seeing Jared K.F. Jones. The moment I take the glasses off, and now you can see my bags. The moment I take my glasses off, I'm Daraj the Creator, right? So that's the only difference in terms of me. But the difference in brand is that again, Jared K.F. Jones, Christian gospel music, Daraj the Creator, R&B and pop that I make not specifically for film and TV, but to release and to get into film and TV. So because I knew, let me ask you, here's a pop quiz for you. Who's the songwriter then? Who's the songwriter? If I'm the same one writing the songs, who is the songwriter for Jared K.F. Jones and Daraj the Creator? It's one and the same, and that's why roles are important. So for to help you think through this for yourself, I want to encourage you, if you are currently playing a role, let's start with the recording artist. If you currently have that role and you're releasing under a particular name, let's say you do pop or country or folk or what have you. What if you want to go into like some sort of indie rock kind of phase project? Or what if you want to start doing Christian music or any other kind of music? Broadway style, I don't know, different, just a different kind. And then you're thinking, well, would I put this under the same artist brand that I have? Because the people that are listening to my music now, if I release something, they kind of expect the type of sound, the type of music that they're going to get. So if I start putting out a different genre under this, people might get confused. So what do I do with that? You can create, so long as you define who you are, you can create another brand. Think about movies. Think about movies that happen and characters that are created. These things are created, and much merchandise is created off of these brands and off of these characters. Why? Because somebody created it. So do yourself a favor and don't do yourself a disservice by saying, I'm locked into this. It has to be this and only this and can't really be anything else. No, it can, so long as you do it thinking through it, so long as you know what role that you're playing in it. And I think it's beneficial. It's been beneficial for me, and that's why I wanted to share it here today. It's been beneficial for me. So please, if you have any questions relating to like how can I best do that, and I want to talk to a couple other roles here too, because I hear this a lot. Another thing I hear is I'm a lyricist. I don't compose music. I write songs, but I need somebody to produce it. I don't sing. So how can these things happen? And a lot of times, and I felt these things, this is why I'm sharing with you. A lot of times, you could think that, well, because I am in this limited role, I can only get my music this way. I can only pitch my songs to people. I can only do this. Let's stop limiting ourselves. I can only stop. Say, here's what my role is. If you are a lyricist and you say, well, how can I become the artist, or how can I become the sound recording owner if I don't have those capabilities? Generally, and I know people do this, you would hire somebody, right? You can say, I want this song to be created. You can hire a singer to sing it. You can do the paperwork and documentation to ensure that you own, what's being created. There's ways to do this so that you can get your music released. Hey, I'm just a lyricist, but if you know that that's your role, but you also want to play the role of producer, hiring somebody to create the music, or hiring musicians, to things like hiring the recording artists, you can do all those things. And at the end of the day, be the one who has produced that full-on recording. You've written the song. Let's say you've composed it. You've hired somebody, like done a work for hire. They've signed an agreement where they said, hey, I'm going to be paid to do a service to you, and I don't own anything. That's like a work for hire, what somebody would sign. So you can do those things and have your music be released. And if you don't sing, DJs do this a lot. DJs will be the one. I think DJ Khaled does this a lot. Will be the artist in the song, and often will have the other singer's name, but he's not singing on these songs. So how is he listed as the artist? It's very creative to do that. Well, he's the one that's producing it. It's his brand that's releasing the song. That's the way that he goes about it. And others do the same thing. And I encourage many songwriters and producers, if you've been in the game of the word of pitching songs and wanting to get your songs on artist projects, and whether it's not happening or not happening enough, maybe it's time for you to find one, two, three artists and say, I wonder if they'd be willing to do some sort of agreement where I can hire them to record. And maybe it's not under their artist name because that's their brand, right? But maybe you guys create something together. A producer and I did this. Christian Van Ham. Christian reached out to me. This was some time ago, I think 2014, 2013, around there, and wanted to create something together. So we did, and wanted to put it out under a brand. So we created this brand called, or this artist name, this band name called Van Jones. His middle name and my last name, Van Jones. So you'll find one of my songs out now is called Let's Go. It's under that brand. And we said this is something, and then we he ended up using it as well for another artist product as well. But it was just so cool to say that, hey, we can create this thing to house one of our creations. So that's why it's important to, once you define the role, you know where you can take it, and then ultimately, I'm not going to get into the business side of it too much now because I want the video to be too long. But there is, I will say this, based upon your role, there is money that could potentially be yours, sitting out there waiting for you to collect, but you don't know about it because you don't understand the role that you played in that recording. I'll give you one example. On Sound Exchange. Sound Exchange is a company that collects digital performance royalties for recording artists and recording owners. Now, remember my other example when I said FM radio doesn't pay recording artists and sound recording owners or record labels who are generally the sound recording owners. Sound Exchange does, but for particular plays on satellite radio, so Sirius XM, or Pandora radio. So if you are an artist and you own your own sound recordings, and if you've had music playing on Pandora radio or satellite radio, Sound Exchange is the company to go to their website and check out. Wait a minute, maybe there's some stuff that's due to me. Again, understanding your role. So that's pretty much it. I want to see if there's any other. Yeah, just have an exercise to close this out here. Just an exercise for you to do. Write these things down. First, what is your primary role? What is if you said this is my role, just do one first. For me, I would say producer, because that's generally what I'm doing. I'm producing music, I'm composing music, or doing it all together, all in one. So I would say producer, because I can make that all encompassing in terms composing the music specifically, and then I'll write in the song. But see, there you go. That's where the exercise, you already start doing multiple different roles, because I said, well, producer, but also this, but also this. So I would say producer. If I can only choose one, that's my role. That's primary role. Once you do that, then you could say, what other roles? Define your primary role and say, what other roles do I play as I produce? I also play the artist role. I also play the songwriter role. I also play you go down the list, okay, and go back and watch the earlier part of the video too. And what additional roles can you see yourself playing if you do say, hey, I'm a lyricist right now. I just write lyrics. What other roles could you potentially play? Right? Could you watch a couple YouTube videos and figure out how to compose some chords, or get a program that shows you how to compose chords? So instead of just writing the lyrics, which is very important, a powerful thing and on its own, and if you say, this is what I enjoy doing, this is what I'm passionate about, do that. And if you don't get passionate about composing the music side, don't. But if you get curious, as I did, I started out as a lyricist, writing stories, writing short poems, things like. I started out at early teens doing that, and over time, when working with friends who produced, and then getting the question asked by some artist friends, hey, do you do music as well? I said, I could try. It started out there because I was curious. I could try to compose some stuff. And next thing you know, I started dabbling in piano, learning a little bit of music theory and triads and this and that. And now I can sit at the piano and sit at my studio desk and compose and create a drum track and bass, all that. But over time, it was because I desired to explore it and knew that I can get out of just the lyricist role and take it a step further. All right. So that's an exercise for you to do. What role do I play, and what roles do I want to explore? Okay. last two, what have you accomplished in your primary role? So as a producer, so I've produced a song and I've released a song. I've produced it. If that's what I've accomplished. If you start there, you then say, okay, where can I go to understand what that role is paid? Now, this is kind of tricky because generally an artist would pay a producer to produce the work. Uh, Maybe there's some royalty sharing and things like that, but generally that would be what the producer is paid. If the producer is also the sound recording owner, again, getting into different roles already. So starting with the producer role might be a little hard, but maybe the artist role or maybe the songwriter role. So just write it down and start Googling or ask a question in the comments. How are songwriters paid? How are producers paid? How are sound recording owners paid? And go down the rabbit holes because you'll start finding organizations and say, oh, we pay based upon such and such. So I never knew that organization existed. Do I play that role? Have I released music and I'm considered a songwriter? Okay, yes. Oh, well, maybe I need to go to these organizations and see if there's money there for me. Things like that. So it all starts with exploration. And the last thing that I want to share and part of this exercise is, what do you want to accomplish in your roles? What do you want to accomplish? And so I wrote down one here as an example. I want to have my song, so songwriter, I want to have my song used in a TV show, right? So if you're a songwriter, again, whether lyrics or composing the music, if I want to have my song in a TV show, well, can I just have the song in the TV show without it being recorded? No, because there's nothing to play. There's a song that exists, but the recording is the thing that's played in film and TV. So how do I get my song recorded? You start to ask yourself these questions, and it takes you to, okay, if I know how to get my song recorded and I know who owns what, and the type of rights that I have as the songwriter and as the one who created the song and as the artist, see how this thing just keeps flowing. You keep asking yourself these questions with each song. And it gets easier because with each song, you're able to know, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to create the whole thing, and I'm going to release it. You immediately know I've just played 4 roles: songwriter, producer, recording artist, and sound recording owner. Those are the big 4 and the main 4 that you'll always get, typically always, when you're the sole one releasing, writing, recording, and releasing a song. Songwriter, the one who's producing it, who's making it happen. The sound recording owner, the one who owns it because you haven't given those rights away. And you are the recording artist if you also sing it. You are always playing those 4 roles if that is the case. And if not, that means, well, somebody, right, whether it's you or somebody else, is playing those roles. So just understand that. And please ask me, put questions in the comments or hit my email, jaredjones music@gmail.com. Reach out with any questions because as you can see, hopefully you can see, I'm very passionate about sharing these things that aren't really talked about, to encourage you on this journey. So do that. Let me know how it goes, and I will see you in the next video.